She went to meet her lover without wearing underwear. I saw it, and she had the nerve to humiliate me right to my face. Is this what 15 years of marriage comes down to? Fine. Let me show you just how well the man who builds this world understands how to tear it down. Chapter 1. The night everything shattered. Let's be honest, some people just need to be taught a lesson. 7 p.m. I was organizing my toolbox in the garage when I heard Vivian's high heels clicking on the floor above.
Urgent.
Excited. After 15 years of marriage, I knew that rhythm all too well. She was going to see someone important. When I went upstairs, she was doing a final check in the full-length mirror in our bedroom. The expensive perfume was so strong it stung my nostrils, Chanel No. 5, which she only wore for special occasions. A black silk dress with a slit all the way up to her thigh, clinging to her like a second skin. Then I saw it. In the mirror's reflection, clear as day, she wasn't wearing underwear. Vivian, you're not. What? She turned around, her expression instantly shifting from excitement to disgust. Like looking at a fly. No, like looking at a piece of dog crap. You're not wearing. She glanced down at herself and smiled. Not shame. Not embarrassment. That cold smirk that says, "So you finally noticed? What are you going to do about it?" "Sorry, darling, I can't take you along. Those ratty shoes and that cheap shirt of yours would just embarrass me." When she said this, there wasn't a trace of guilt in her eyes. She was just stating a fact. Outside, a car horn honked twice. Not the sound of our 2010 Honda Accord. A deeper, more expensive sound. I walked to the window. A black Mercedes S-Class. "Who's out there?" "A friend." She picked up her $3,000 Gucci handbag, 3 months of my salary. "Don't wait up for me." Bang. The door closing sounded like a slap across my face. I stood at the window, watching the black Mercedes carry my wife away around the corner. Rain started to fall outside, the wipers scraping across the windshield with a harsh sound. 15 years. I'd given this woman 15 years. With one sentence, she trampled all 15 years into the mud. What kind of party requires going without underwear? What kind of friend picks her up in a Mercedes? Did I really look that stupid to her? No. I was just waiting for a reason. Now, the reason had arrived. As a housing inspector, my job is to find problems others can't see. I can feel the cracks before they appear. Before a structure collapses, I already know. 15 years ago, I installed a GPS tracker in Vivian's car. Not for surveillance, but for an insurance discount. Insurance companies give a 15% discount for vehicles with anti-theft tracking systems. But tonight, that habit was going to save my life. I pulled out my iPad and opened the tracking software. A blue dot moved across the map. It finally stopped at 1247 Maple Ridge Boulevard. I recognized that address. A vacant luxury home I just inspected last month. Worth $2.8 million. 3,200 square feet. Basement, garage, swimming pool, everything included. The inspection report listed it as for sale. But tonight, it clearly wasn't vacant. Why does she get to go to a place like that? Why don't I even qualify to attend? I picked up my phone and sent her a message. "Dinner's in the fridge." She didn't reply. Of course she wouldn't reply. She was busy right now. Chapter 2. The basement recording. Want to know what betrayal sounds like? I recorded it. 9:45 p.m. I drove my work truck to 1247. It was a 1980s house, brick and wood structure, English style. It looked beautiful in the moonlight, but I knew its secrets. The northeast corner of the foundation had water seepage problems. The load-bearing wall in the master bedroom on the second floor had cracks. The heating system needed replacement. At least 30% of the roof tiles needed repair. That's why it wouldn't sell. Vivian's car and that Mercedes were parked side by side in the driveway, like a perfect couple. The house was dark except for a faint light in one room on the second floor. I know all the secrets of these old houses. They all have external basement entrances, convenient for moving heavy items and emergency exits. The steel hatch on the side only had a regular master lock padlock. My lockpick took care of it in 30 seconds. Click. I entered enemy territory. The basement was quiet, with the smell of mold and old wood. Old furniture and moving boxes were piled in the corners. Muffled sounds came from upstairs. Not the sound of conversation. Other sounds. I took out my stethoscope, a professional tool for detecting wall cracks. I pressed it against the ceiling, directly under the second-floor master bedroom. The sounds became clear. First, a moment of silence. Then Vivian's voice. That idiot Garrett can't even understand an insurance clause. He won't find out. A male voice, low and confident. Are you sure you can get the deed? My cash flow is about to break. The Oak Street project got shut down, and the bank is hounding me for repayment every day. Don't worry, Reynolds. He does whatever I tell him. For 15 years, he's been like a dog. Whatever I tell him to sign, he signs. Tomorrow I'll have him sign papers to mortgage the house to your project. You're sure he won't suspect anything? Suspect. Vivian laughed. That contemptuous laugh that made my blood run cold. All he knows is fixing houses, polishing tools, and reading those boring building code manuals. His whole world is nothing but houses. What do you think someone like that could figure out? Does that house-fixing moron really think you love him? Love him? Her voice was full of mockery. What I love is his credit score and that house that's tripled in value. I married him back then because I saw the potential in his house. You know how much that location is worth now? $1.5 million. And he only paid $380,000 for it back then. You really have vision. Reynolds laughed. Of course. After the project ends, we take the money and get divorced. I can get at least half the assets. Him? He gets nothing. Doesn't divorce law require splitting assets? Splitting? Vivian sneered. I have my ways. First, the house will be taken by the bank due to investment failure. Second, I'll prove he had violent tendencies during the marriage. I've already taken some photos of myself injured, got friends to provide false testimony. Plus my lawyer, he'll get 20% at most. And it'll all be debt. Brilliant. Worthy of the woman I've set my sights on. Once I divorce him, we can be together openly. With the money, we'll go to the southern coastal cities. Haven't you always wanted to develop real estate there? Exactly. That market is 10 times better than here. I'm sick of this godforsaken place. I kept listening for a full 42 minutes. I'd heard enough. I knew everything I needed to know. My wife wasn't just having an affair. She was stealing my life. But what she didn't know was, she'd picked the wrong opponent. I quietly exited the basement, closed the hatch and relocked the padlock. The rain was still falling. I sat in my truck watching that house. Then I smiled. Not sadness. Not anger. That pleasure of watching prey step into a trap. Chapter 3, Morning Judgment. The next morning, 7:15 a.m., Vivian came home. She walked into the bedroom as usual, kicked off her high heels, and collapsed on the bed. She got home at 3 a.m. Her hair was messy, her makeup smudged. There was a hickey on her neck. She thought I was asleep, but I'd been in the garage all night, planning, preparing, setting up. At 8 a.m., when Vivian woke up, she expected me to bring breakfast and coffee to her bed as usual. This was a 15-year habit. Every morning, I'd brew her Blue Mountain coffee and prepare whole wheat bread with avocado spread. Today was no exception. I carried the tray upstairs. Except on the tray, besides the coffee, there was also a piece of paper. Garrett. She rubbed her eyes. What's that smell? Why is the coffee so bitter? New beans. Give it a try. She picked up the cup, took a sip, and frowned. Too bitter. Never mind. What are you showing me? She picked up the paper. It read, Reynolds. Time. Last night 7:47 p.m. This morning 2:53 a.m. Activity. Second floor master bedroom. Below that was another line. Was last night's party exciting? By the way, the basement at 1247 has poor soundproofing. I saved the recording for you. Next time remember to check the hatch lock. The paper fell onto the bed. The coffee cup fell too, dark liquid spreading across the white sheets. Her face changed from rosy to deathly pale in 3 seconds. Garrett, I can explain. No need. I turned and headed downstairs. Wait, Garrett. Listen to me. She chased after me, barefoot, in her nightgown. I can really explain. It's not what you think. I stopped at the stairs and turned to look at her, like looking at a completely rotten beam. Explain what? Explain how you plotted to steal my house. Explain how you prepared to frame me for domestic violence. Explain how you and your lover planned to leave me with all the debt after our divorce. She froze. You? How much did you hear? Enough. Garrett, I was forced. Reynolds threatened me. He said if I didn't. I cut her off. Vivian, you know what I hate most? She stopped talking. What I hate most is liars. What I hate even more is when liars get caught and keep lying. I walked toward the garage. Where are you going? Her voice started to tremble. To work. There's a project I need to inspect. What about us? I stopped without turning around. You? Figure it out yourself. The door closed. She stood in the living room, barefoot, hugging herself. I saw her start to cry, but I felt nothing. She thought she was playing chess. Actually, she was playing Russian roulette. And I was the one who loaded the bullets. Chapter 4. Digging his grave. You know the difference between revenge and justice? Justice needs a judge. Revenge only needs patience. Reynolds, 42 years old. Self-proclaimed real estate developer. Sounds impressive? I spent 3 days investigating him. The result? This guy was a complete fraud. Public records showed 3 projects under construction, total investment $2.8 million. On the surface, shiny and impressive. But what do? I'm an inspector. Finding garbage is my job. I began systematically investigating every project. Project 1, Oak Street apartment building. Foundation depth should be 6 feet. They only dug 4 feet, a full 2 feet short. This is a serious violation. Foundation depth for earthquake zone buildings is strictly regulated. What does 2 feet less mean? It means a magnitude 6 earthquake could bring this building down. It means 32 families living on a ticking time bomb. I obtained geological reports, construction logs, concrete pouring records. Every document had been tampered with. Actual construction didn't match the reports at all. Project 2, Lakeview Villa Community. This project was even worse. Building codes require grade 60 rebar. They used grade 40. What's the difference? Grade 60 rebar can withstand 60,000 pounds per square inch of pressure. Grade 40 can only withstand 40,000 pounds per square inch. This means earthquake resistance is 33% weaker. What's even more disgusting is they put fake labels on the rebar, marked grade 60. I took samples to the lab for testing. Results confirmed. Carbon content exceeded standards, sulfur and phosphorus content too high. Couldn't meet load-bearing requirements at all. This wasn't a house. This was a pile of bricks tied together with wire. Project 3, Maple Ridge Commercial Complex. Electrical systems are one of my specialties. I reviewed the electrical blueprints. Problems everywhere. Circuit load calculations wrong. Design capacity 800 amps, actual demand at least 1200 amps. Wire gauge insufficient. Should use 1/0 AWG, they use 2 AWG. Distribution box placement doesn't meet fire code. Emergency exit lighting system has no backup power. Grounding system design is flawed. I did a simple calculation. Once this building goes into operation, the probability of circuit overload is 87%. One short circuit, the whole building burns to the ground. And because emergency lighting has no backup power, escape routes would be pitch black during a fire. This is building a tomb. As a former structural engineer, I know what these problems mean. As a current inspector, I know how to legally destroy him. This bastard didn't just steal my wife. He was building houses that could kill people. He had to pay the price. Monday, I launched the first wave of attack. I wrote 3 detailed technical analysis reports to the city's building safety department. Not emotional complaints. Professional, data-driven, irrefutable technical reports. Each report included on-site photos with timestamps and GPS positioning, construction log comparisons, material test results, structural calculations, safety hazard assessments, regulatory violation lists. Every piece of data was a lethal weapon. I know how to write these reports. I know what wording triggers mandatory inspections. I know which keywords make bureaucrats unable to ignore them. Major public safety hazard. Suspected intentional violations. Potential casualty risk. Recommend immediate work stoppage. Wednesday, I sent a structural risk assessment report to his insurance company. What do insurance companies fear most? Payouts. My report clearly stated, these projects have known and foreseeable major structural defects. In insurance terminology, this means if the insurance company doesn't take action and something happens, they bear joint liability. The insurance company's risk assessment department doesn't mess around. When they see my report, they'll immediately send people for on-site inspection. Once confirmed, what will they do? Cancel the policy. Without insurance, banks won't continue lending. Without loans, projects will shut down. Thursday, I made the cruelest move. I packaged all the evidence and sent it to the city's biggest investigative journalist, Celeste from the Metro Daily. Celeste is famously tough. She specializes in exposing construction industry scandals. I sent her an anonymous email. Ms. Celeste, attached are detailed materials about serious safety hazards in 3 local construction projects. These projects are all managed by the same developer, Reynolds. He's building houses that can kill people, and he knows it. This is premeditated. Attachments include construction site photos, material testing reports, building code comparisons, internal documents. Please investigate. A citizen concerned about public safety. Friday afternoon, 3:27 p.m. I sat in a Starbucks across from the construction site, ordered a black coffee, then watched Reynolds' world collapse. First came the city inspectors. 3 white Ford pickups with Building and Safety Department printed on the doors. 6 inspectors with tablets and measuring tools entered the site. 15 minutes later, the Oak Street project was marked with a red Stop Work Order sign. Then Lakeview Villa Community. Then Maple Ridge Commercial Complex. 3 projects all shut down. Reynolds was screaming at the inspectors at the Oak Street site. His face turned bright red. He waved his arms around. He threatened to sue. The inspector expressionlessly handed him a document. Work stoppage order. With mandatory rectification requirements. Plus a letter from the insurance company. Policy cancellation notice. I saw him pull out his phone and start frantically making calls. First call, the bank. Second call, lawyer. Third call, contractor. Fourth call, investors. He made 17 calls total. I could imagine those conversations. What? You're withdrawing your investment? Work stoppage? Why a work stoppage? Insurance canceled? How is that possible? Cash settlement? Where do I get that much cash? 5:15 p.m. The bank sent notice. Project loan accounts frozen. 6:03 p.m. 3 contractors' trucks drove away. They wanted cash settlement or they'd stop construction. Reynolds' cash flow had completely broken. First blood. Chapter 5, The Mad Dog Strikes Back. When Vivian came home, her lover had already gone bankrupt. She charged into the garage like a mad dog. I was changing the oil in the lawnmower. What did you do? She screamed. Reynolds said all his projects were shut down. Inspectors said someone reported him. Was it you? I didn't do anything. I continued my work, as calm as if discussing the weather. Stop pretending. I looked up at her. For the first time in 15 years, she swore at me. Watch your language. We're still married. Married? She sneered. Are you worthy? I'm not worthy? I put down my tools. How's your worthy one doing now? His 3 projects all shut down, right? Insurance canceled, right? Bank froze his loans, right? She froze. How do you know all this in such detail? Vivian. I stood up. What do you think I've been doing for 15 years? I'm an inspector. Checking buildings for defects is my job. You think I couldn't find problems with that garbage your lover built? You. Oak Street Foundation is 2 feet short. Lakeview Villas used fake counterfeit rebar. Maple Ridge Commercial's electrical system is a time bomb. These are all facts. I just told the people who needed to know. This is revenge. Revenge. I laughed. This is saving lives. The houses your lover built would kill people. As an inspector with professional ethics, I have a duty to report safety hazards. You're lying. Reynolds wouldn't. Wouldn't what? Wouldn't cut corners? Wouldn't use fake materials? Wouldn't bribe inspectors? I grabbed a document from the workbench and threw it in front of her. It was the Lakeview Villa rebar test report. Take a look. This is from a third-party lab. The rebar your lover used, carbon content 47% over standard, sulfur content 62% over standard. This rebar's tensile strength is only 65% of standard. She picked up the report, her hands trembling. He said he was a professional developer. Professional? Professional con artist, maybe. She suddenly threw the report on the ground and pulled out a stack of documents from her bag. Sign this. She slammed the documents on the workbench. Home equity loan application. We need money. Reynolds needs working capital. I looked at the documents. $500,000 loan. Using our house as collateral. Term 30 years. Interest rate 6.8%. Why? Investment. Reynolds has a new project. Once we get through this, we can make big money. That project that got shut down? It's temporary. He said as long as we supplement the materials, the project can continue. I looked at her. This woman had truly gone insane. Her lover was clearly a fraud, and she still wanted to help him. Even more absurd, she wanted to use my house to help him. Vivian, wake up. Reynolds' project isn't temporarily shut down. It's permanent. The materials he used don't meet standards. The entire project needs to be demolished and rebuilt. He doesn't have money to rebuild. He's bankrupt. How do you know he has no money? Because I checked his financial status. I pulled out another document from the drawer. This is his bank account statement. 3 accounts, total balance, $14,327. He owes the bank in loans, $2,847,000. He owes contractors, $456,000. He owes suppliers, $328,000. Total debt over $3.6 million. He's bankrupt. How did you get these? I have my methods. This wasn't bragging. I really did have methods. Reynolds, to show off, had shared his success on LinkedIn, including project financing details. His company website had financial reports, false financial reports, but I knew an old classmate who works at the bank. For the price of one meal, I learned Reynolds' true financial situation. Vivian sat on the ground and started crying. How can this be? He said he was rich. He said he'd take me to the coastal cities. I looked at her, feeling no sympathy. Vivian, wake up. He's been lying to you from the start. No, impossible. We truly love each other. True love. I sneered. You loved his money. He loved my house. What kind of true love is that? She looked up, her eyes red. Then suddenly her expression changed. From despair to anger. From anger to madness. It's all you, she shrieked. You're behind everything. You're jealous of me. You can't stand to see me happy. You useless piece of trash. I'm jealous of you? You freeloader. Without me, you couldn't even afford this house. Who do you think you are? You're just a house repairman. A blue-collar worker. What right do you have to control me? Sign it. Sign it now. 15 years of marriage. She'd finally torn off all her disguises for the first time. I looked at her like looking at a completely rotten beam. Fine, I'll sign. What? She froze. I'll sign. But there's one condition. I pointed to the workbench and toolbox in the garage. All these tools, all this equipment. I bought them myself over 15 years. They're worth at least $45,000. If I sign this mortgage application, these are mine. You have no claim to them. Whatever. Just sign. Second condition. What else? Starting today, you're no longer the owner of this house. You're a temporary resident of mortgaged property. That means I can evict you at any time. You can't do that. I can. Look at page 7, clause 3 of this mortgage application. In the event of default, the mortgagee has the right to immediately evict all unauthorized residents. You want to mortgage my house? Fine. But once you sign, I'm the mortgagee. You're just a resident. She looked at the contract, looking for the clause. It was there, in tiny print. This is a trap. Not a trap. Standard clause. Every mortgage contract has it. But you're using it against your own wife. My own wife. I laughed. My own wife who wants to steal my house? My own wife who planned to frame me? My own wife who's been screwing another man. Which one are you talking about? Her face went from red to white, then from white to purple. I'm not signing. Fine. Then I'm not signing either. I picked up the documents and tore them in half. But remember, when Reynolds goes bankrupt, when his debt collectors come, when the police arrest him for fraud, don't come crying to me. You're on your own. I turned and walked into the house. Behind me, Vivian screamed like an animal. But I didn't look back. Chapter 6. Demolishing the foundation. Want to know what total collapse looks like? It's systematic. I spent the next 2 weeks conducting the most thorough inspection of Reynolds' life. Not just his projects, his entire operation. I treated him like a condemned building scheduled for demolition. First, identify all load-bearing structures. Then remove them one by one. Strike 1. Tax fraud. I discovered something interesting when reviewing Reynolds' project financing. He'd set up 3 shell companies. Each company reported different income for the same projects. This is tax fraud. I compiled all the evidence. Bank statements, invoices, contracts, tax filings. Sent everything to the IRS. Anonymous tip. Strike 2. Insurance fraud. Remember those material defects? Turns out Reynolds had been running an insurance scam. He'd intentionally use cheap materials, wait for problems to appear, then file insurance claims. Over 3 years, he'd collected over $2 million in fraudulent claims. I sent all the evidence to his insurance company and the State Insurance Fraud Bureau. Strike 3. Banking fraud. Reynolds' loan applications were full of lies. Inflated project values. Fake income statements. Fabricated asset lists. I sent copies of his actual financial records alongside his loan applications to the FBI. Federal banking fraud is not a joke. Strike 4. Labor violations. Reynolds' construction sites were full of illegal workers. No contracts, no insurance, no safety equipment, unpaid wages. I contacted several workers who were owed wages, helped them organize evidence, reported to the Department of Labor. The Department of Labor inspected and issued massive fines. Also forced him to pay all back wages. Strike 5. Environmental violations. Reynolds' sites illegally dumped construction waste, including toxic materials, asbestos, lead, chemical solvents. I took photos, marked GPS locations, sent them to the EPA. The EPA sent inspectors, issued a $450,000 fine, and required him to clean up all pollution at his own expense. These 5 strikes were like 5 daggers, each one precisely stabbed into Reynolds' vital points. October 8th, Sunday. Reynolds' 3 projects were ordered demolished and rebuilt. October 9th, Monday. Reynolds' building license was revoked. October 10th, Tuesday. Reynolds' bank accounts were all frozen. October 11th, Wednesday. Reynolds' lending bank sued him for fraud, froze all his remaining assets. October 12th, Thursday. State Department of Labor issued a $287,000 fine. Reason: illegal employment, unpaid wages, safety violations. October 15th, Sunday. EPA issued a $450,000 fine. Reason? Illegal dumping of hazardous waste. Vivian and Reynolds both received court summons. Vivian, tax fraud, money laundering. Reynolds, insurance fraud, bank fraud, building safety violations, labor violations, environmental violations. Now they were really panicking. Chapter 10. Desperate counterattack. What do desperate people do? They show their ugliest nature. October 18th, 3 p.m. Vivian returned to the house with a lawyer, that rotting house. The lawyer was Reynolds' friend. Clifton, graduated from a third-rate law school, specialized in divorce cases and traffic tickets. I was in the garage organizing my newly bought tools. Garrett. Vivian burst in, the lawyer following behind. You have to withdraw all your reports. What reports? I continued organizing tools. I don't know what you're talking about. Stop pretending. Her face turned bright red. The IRS said someone reported me for tax evasion. The FBI said someone reported Reynolds for fraud. It's all you. Did you evade taxes? That's not the point. That is exactly the point. Did you evade taxes? She stopped talking. The lawyer cleared his throat. Mr. Garrett, my client is willing to settle. If you withdraw the reports, she can consider redistributing the assets. I cut him off. Who are you? I'm Clifton, Ms. Vivian's legal representative. Do you have a license? What? A lawyer's license. Do you have one? Of course. I'm a registered attorney. I pulled out my phone and opened a web page. State Bar website. Enter your name. He hesitated, then gave his license number. I entered it and searched. Clifton, current status. Probation. I looked up. Your license is on probation. Reason: violation of professional ethics, making false promises to clients. 17 complaints. These are your qualifications. The lawyer's face changed. That's not important. Not important? I laughed. A lawyer on probation comes to negotiate a settlement with me? Mr. Garrett, please don't change the subject. Get out of my house. What? I said get out. Frauds and their accomplices aren't welcome here. You can't do this. We have legal rights. I picked up the phone. You have 10 seconds to leave. Otherwise, I'm calling the police. The security system is recording. Trespassing on private property. I can defend myself. I pointed to the camera in the corner. And, Ms. Vivian, according to the documents we signed, you're now just a temporary resident of mortgaged property. I'm the homeowner. Without my permission, you have no right to bring anyone into my garage. The lawyer pulled Vivian. Let's go. They left. But as Vivian was leaving, she turned back to look at me. That was pure hatred. Undisguised hatred. Good. Now you know what these 15 years have been like for me. Chapter 11. Social media war. The next day, October 19th, Vivian launched her final counterattack. Social media smear campaign. She posted a long piece on Facebook. My husband is a control freak and abuser. For 15 years, I've lived in fear. My husband Garrett, on the surface an honest home inspector, is actually a control freak and abuser. He controls everything about me: my phone, installed monitoring software; my car, installed GPS tracker; my social life, doesn't allow me to have male friends; my finances, all money must go through him. He has serious psychological problems. Voyeurism, filled the house with cameras; vindictive personality, anyone who offends him gets revenge; emotional instability, often breaks things. What's most terrifying is he's now started taking revenge on my friends. I have a friend who's a developer who had some business disagreements with him. He anonymously reported him, causing all my friends' projects to shut down, losing millions. I'm very scared now, but I've decided to speak the truth. I hope everyone will share this so more people know about this devil wearing an honest man's disguise. Photos attached: bruises on her arm, makeup, our house's security cameras, normal home security system, my toolbox, called weapons. Likes: 347. Comments: 183. Shares. 92. The comment section was full of condemnation. Oh my God. This kind of person must be reported to the police. Vivian, you need to protect yourself. I suggest you apply for a restraining order. This kind of man is scum. I knew it. Honest people are all pretending. A bunch of uninformed friends started sharing like crazy. My colleagues messaged me, Garrett, what's going on? My clients started canceling appointments. My response? Silence. I said nothing. No explanations. No clarifications. No responses. The truth doesn't need explanation. Time will prove everything. 3 days later, October 22nd, the IRS announced investigation results. News headline: Local real estate agent suspected of tax evasion of $157,000. According to IRS investigation, real estate agent Vivian, 43, concealed income of $328,450 over the past 5 years, suspected of evading $157,656 in taxes. Investigation shows Ms. Vivian received unreported cash kickbacks in multiple property transactions. A week later, October 29th, the FBI announced Reynolds' case. News headline: Local developer suspected of insurance fraud exceeding $2 million. The FBI today arrested real estate developer Reynolds, 42, charging him with running a systematic insurance fraud ring. Investigation shows Reynolds, over the past 3 years, deliberately used substandard materials in construction, then repeatedly claimed insurance, profiting over $2 million. Photo attached. Reynolds being handcuffed. November 3rd. Metro Daily front page. Shoddy construction scandal. 3 buildings must be demolished. Metro Daily reporter Celeste's in-depth investigation found 3 local construction projects with serious safety hazards must be demolished and rebuilt. These projects were all managed by developer Reynolds, involving Oak Street Apartments, Lakeview Villas, Maple Ridge Commercial Complex. Investigation shows foundation depth below standards, use of fake counterfeit rebar, electrical system fire hazards. If these buildings were put into use, they could cause major casualties. The article disclosed all technical details. Photos attached, construction site photos, material test reports, expert interviews. Vivian's Facebook suddenly went quiet. Those friends went quiet too. Some quietly deleted their previous comments. Some started sending me private messages. Garrett, I'm sorry. I didn't know the truth. I was deceived. I shouldn't have believed her. Are you okay? Need help? I didn't reply to a single one. What good are apologies? Whatever you thought before, now you deal with it. I don't need apologies. What I need is reckoning. Chapter 12, The Final Banquet. 3 months later, January 15th, the annual Real Estate Agent Awards Banquet. This was the most important social event in the city's real estate world. Vivian and Reynolds' last chance. They planned to find new investors here, raise funds, and save themselves. Reynolds even prepared an exquisite project proposal. Title: Phoenix Rising, Investment Opportunities from Failure. He was going to speak at the banquet and convince investors to believe in him. I was there too, not as an attendee, but as a building safety consultant for the city government. I was invited to give a speech at the banquet on building safety and public responsibility. Vivian wore that black dress, the same one from the night she went without underwear. Reynolds wore a rented Tom Ford tuxedo. They still looked glamorous, at least on the surface. I saw dark circles under Vivian's eyes, covered with thick foundation. I saw Reynolds' hands trembling. He kept drinking. The banquet began. Appetizers, main course, dessert, then the speech segment. First, the association president spoke. Then outstanding agents were recognized. Then it was Reynolds' turn. He walked on stage and adjusted the microphone, cleared his throat, began his speech. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I am Reynolds. Tonight, I want to introduce you to a revolutionary real estate investment opportunity. Suddenly, the big screen flickered. The PowerPoint disappeared. A video appeared. This wasn't a technical malfunction. This was my masterpiece. The screen showed surveillance footage from the Oak Street construction site. Date: August 12, 2024. Timestamp clearly visible. The footage showed foundation pouring scene. Workers putting rebar into the rebar cage. Then a foreman walked over and started counting the rebar. Counted halfway, stopped, pulled out his phone, made a call. The sound came through the microphone clearly. "Boss, the blueprints require 80 rebar. We only put 50. Is this okay?" Reynolds' voice: "Fine. They can't see it during inspection anyway. Once the concrete is poured, who knows how many are inside. But won't the load bearing be insufficient? These investors don't understand construction anyway. Just fool them. Quality? What's quality? If it makes money, it's good quality." The venue fell deathly silent. Everyone was staring at the screen. Reynolds' face turned deathly pale. He tried to turn off the projector, but he didn't have control. The video continued playing. Next segment: Reynolds and Vivian's conversation in a car. Date: September 20th, 2024. Reynolds was driving, Vivian in the passenger seat. Reynolds: "Those idiots buying houses think they're buying mansions. They're actually buying tombs. By the time the houses collapse, we'll be long gone." Vivian: "Do you think that moron Garrett will find out?" Reynolds: "Find out what? All he knows is fixing houses. That kind of idiot will be blue-collar his whole life. He'll never know how we laugh at him behind his back." Vivian: "Haha. Exactly. I don't know why I married him back then." "Oh right. It was for that house." Reynolds: "Once we scam his house, you divorce him. We take the money to the coastal cities and start a new life." Vivian: "Good. I'm sick of him. 15 years. Looking at that stupid face every day, I could vomit." The whole venue erupted. Whispers turned into open discussion. "Oh my God. Is this real? They're building shoddy construction and scamming her husband's house." At that moment, the venue doors opened. Police came in. Not one or two. 6, plus 2 FBI agents, plus IRS investigators. The lead officer walked toward the stage. "Mr. Reynolds, Ms. Vivian, you are under arrest for commercial fraud, insurance fraud, bank fraud, document forgery, building safety violations, massive tax evasion, and conspiracy to commit property fraud." Reynolds tried to escape through the back. 2 officers tackled him to the ground. "No, you can't do this. I'm innocent." The officer handcuffed him. Vivian stood there, completely frozen. When the officer walked toward her, she suddenly saw me. I sat in the 3rd row, calmly watching it all. She started screaming, "Garrett, Garrett, I love you. We're family. I was deceived. Please save me." I stood up, walked up to her, looked at her like looking at a completely rotten beam. Everyone was watching us. The entire venue was so quiet you could hear breathing. I spoke, my voice calm and clear. "I'm sorry, ma'am. According to Building Code Section 108, when the foundation has rotted and the structure has lost integrity, the only code-compliant repair solution is demolish, rebuild." The officer handcuffed her. She was still screaming, still struggling. But it was useless. She was dragged out of the venue. Reynolds was dragged away too. Everyone in the venue looked at me. Someone started clapping. First scattered, then more and more. Finally, the whole venue stood and applauded. Someone shouted, "Hero!" Someone shouted, "Thank you for saving us." The association president walked over and shook my hand. "Mr. Garrett, thank you for your brave reporting. You saved countless families." I said nothing, just nodded, turned and left. Chapter 13. A New Beginning. 6 months later, Vivian was sentenced to 5 years, tax fraud and property fraud. Reynolds was sentenced to 8 years, insurance fraud, bank fraud, building safety violations. Real estate license permanently revoked. Banned from the construction industry. All illegal gains confiscated. That rotting house? The bank auctioned it. Starting bid, $850,000. Final price, $620,000. Who was the buyer? Me. In the name of my newly established building inspection company, Mr. Construction Safety Consulting LLC. Company logo is a hammer and a shield. Tagline: Building trust, one inspection at a time. I spent 3 months restoring that house. Replaced all aging pipes. Repaired all cracks. Reinstalled all systems. Reinforced the foundation. Updated the electrical system. Total cost, $180,000. After restoration, the house was like new. Market appraisal, $1,450,000. I listed it for sale. 2 weeks later, sold for $1,380,000. Net profit, $580,000. Now I stand at a new construction site. A huge demolition hammer is smashing into a failed building. Reynolds' last project. Oak Street apartment building. The city government commissioned me to oversee the demolition and quality supervision of subsequent reconstruction. I watched that substandard rebar and fake concrete crumble before me. Each hammer strike hit a critical structural point, just like crushing Vivian and Reynolds' lives. Precise, thorough, no mercy. My phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Garrett? I'm Marina, a producer from the local TV station. We want to do a special report on building safety regulation. Would you accept an interview? Sure. When? Tomorrow afternoon? At your office. No problem. I hung up. Another call came in. This time from Metro Daily. Mr. Garrett, this is Celeste. I want to write an in-depth story about you. From blue-collar worker to public safety guardian. Would you cooperate? Of course. 3 weeks later, the TV special aired. Hidden Hero. How one inspector saved an entire city. Ratings. #1 in its time slot. The newspaper in-depth report was published. From humiliated to revered, Garrett's comeback story. Readership, over 500,000. I became an expert. I became a hero. I became the man who saved countless families from living in death traps. Clients started pouring in. Those neighbors who used to mock my ratty shoes and cheap shirt now came to me when their cars broke down or houses had problems. Mrs. Henderson. Garrett, my roof seems to be leaking. Can you take a look? Mr. Thompson. Garrett, I heard you're an expert now. Can you inspect my new house? Lauren, Vivian's former best friend. Garrett, I'm so sorry about the misunderstanding before. I'm buying a house now. Can you help me check it out? My response was always the same. I'm sorry. I only accept commercial clients now. Personal consulting services require appointments. The fee is $500 per hour, and appointments are currently booked 3 months out. If you're in a hurry, you can choose expedited service at $1,000 per hour. Their expressions were all the same. Shock, embarrassment, regret. I smiled politely, then turned and left. I changed my car. From a 2010 Honda Accord to a new Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro. Black with the company logo. I changed my clothes. From cheap shirts to custom work uniforms. Deep blue. Embroidered with the company name and my title. Chief Inspector and Founder. I changed my house. From a suburban ordinary residence to a downtown penthouse apartment. 2,800 square feet. 2 balconies. 360-degree city views. Rent, $6,500 per month. But I don't care, because my company's monthly revenue, $85,000. I changed my life. Epilogue. To all who have been dismissed. This morning I received an email. Sender, Vivian. Subject, please forgive me. I didn't read the content. Deleted it immediately. Some apologies come too late. Some wounds cannot be forgiven. Some people don't deserve a second chance. I sit in my office, looking at the wall. Structural engineer certificate. Inspector license. Metro Daily article, framed. TV interview screenshot, framed. City government's Outstanding Public Safety Contribution Award. The headline reads, From blue-collar worker to building safety hero, one man's comeback story. People always think shabby clothes hide weakness. They're wrong. Those who build this world also understand best how to tear it down. If you find the right load-bearing wall, demolishing a building only takes one hammer. Destroying a person's life only takes patience and expertise. Oh, that cheap shirt? I didn't burn it. I had it framed, hanging in my office in a glass frame. Below it is a brass plaque, engraved with, "Never forget where you came from. Never forget who doubted you. Never forget what you're capable of." Every day when clients ask about that shirt, I tell them this story. Not to show off, but to remind myself, I was once at rock bottom. Now I'm at the top. The distance between them was measured with professionalism, patience, and dignity.